Hello, my name is Robbie Fitzwater. I own and operate Marketing Rhythm. We help e-commerce businesses with retention marketing and email marketing and SMS. One of the questions we get all the time, this is from small, medium, large businesses. How long does it take to start generating revenue through email marketing? And per usual, our response is generally, it depends. So I'm going to walk you through kind of like how we start to think about this, what timetable to think about in terms of how your revenue trajectory may look, and then also thinking about like how to approach this in a really smart, thoughtful way. So the variables that this is going to really entail are: what do you have established in your business? How many customers have you had in the past? How strong is your acquisition? And what is your business cycle, or what does your product life cycle look like? So depending on your business, there's going to be a lot of variables here. So in terms of email marketing, you want to be thinking about, hey, how do I start at a high level and understand how this is going to fit into the structure of my business to set expectations for how fast this is going to perform and kind of what to expect in that trajectory in terms of like time scale and how fast you're going to generate revenue. Typically, we're pretty confident that this process goes a little bit faster than most people expect. In terms of channels, it is a little bit easier because we do typically have some base in terms of customers. And if you're, again, looking at investing in email marketing and you have already been investing in other areas of marketing and you haven't looked at email marketing, there's probably a lot of easy low-hanging fruit. And we'll walk you through what to think about there too. So thinking that first question, what is the structure of your business? This is really going to depend on what your business is, how it's structured, what it looks like, what is your product catalog, or what does your sales cycle look like? So how replenishable is your product? Is your product life cycle consistent? Is it coffee where you're going to be replenishing it month after month? Or is it a mattress where you're going to be replacing it every 8 to 10 years? So understanding what that product life cycle is going to be really important. So those are going to be areas where, again, your product offering and your strategic mix may need to coincide with that. If I just sold mattresses, my revenue through email may not be as great because I may not have that type of retention revenue that I'd be wanting. But what are other product categories I could get into that involve sleep that are complementary to what I'm doing? So again, thinking about that strategically, that's going to help you understand what's going to work. Also, how large is your product catalog? For a large product catalog that has lots of different options that are going to be complementary to, again, specific behaviors you may be serving or specific audiences you may be serving, then that large product catalog is going to serve you in a way that you have ways to, again, get people back in the store. And it gives you basically a reason to pull people back in. So if you're a reseller or you have a large product offering that serves a few different audiences or serves some segments really, really deep, then that's a really great way to think about where you're focusing. And then what does the acquisition channels for your marketing look like? If you have zero traffic coming to your store or you have zero new people coming in, it's going to be hard to really do much with email marketing if you're just creating from scratch. You can monetize that existing audience as much as you want, but you're going to be needing some type of new traffic coming in. That's really going to help you start to, again, continue that growth path. But you also have to have some of that on the front end that's going to supplement what you're already doing. So thinking about this in another level, what is the stage of your business? Are you new to email marketing where you don't have anything? Are you evolving where you may have a little bit going? Or are you advanced? So we think about these three categories and kind of where people sit. So in terms of new, we think about basically you're just fresh out of the gate. You haven't done anything. You're just getting started. In that new category, you have no email, you have no real campaigns or automations. So basically those are going to be the two largest pieces we're going to be thinking about. So in terms of new, you're going to need to go through the warming process for at least a month. You're going to spend at least a month going through warming where you're turning on some of your automations, and then you're also emailing your highly engaged segments to make sure that you warm up your email service provider. Basically making sure that Google knows you're not a Nigerian pyramid scheme trying to, again, extract money from people's accounts, that you're a reputable sender and you're a reputable business. Making sure Gmail trusts you is important. So you want to be warming that account. So it's going to take at least a month, and then probably going a month back from there too, because you need to be building some automations and getting those up and running. So when you have a welcome series running or you have an abandoned cart running, all of these for e-commerce businesses are going to be really important. So those are going to be highly frequent sent emails. They're going to be highly, highly contextual. So they're going to get opened and clicked and make that warming process go a lot more smoothly. But once those are going, if you haven't had much going, you have a big jump and a big curve to climb. And generally, for businesses that haven't been investing in email, they see a really steep growth trajectory because suddenly where they haven't focused a lot on retention, they can suddenly bring a lot of people back in. And that's a really nice way to kind of like start to grow that base. For email clients, we're typically looking at wanting to have email compose about 30 to 45% of their total e-commerce revenue. If we can get in that sweet spot range, that's a good place to be. We don't want it to be more than that because that's a little bit too much and a little bit too dependent on email, and we don't have enough strong acquisition channel to really, again, prop up the rest of the business. So thinking about this, you're going to have at least a month before you're going live with this introduction, just getting your automations up and running. You have, again, introducing those automations and introducing that warming process where you probably will make some money, but that revenue probably goes pretty fast from there. So explore a new business that has zero. Expect that to go pretty fast because once you start to re-engage your audience and you maybe do have a larger product catalog or do have a larger product offering or a faster repurchase cycle, then this is an easy wins. If the product catalog is smaller, if the repurchase cycle is also longer, this trajectory may look a little bit less steep, but you're going to be able to get that up and running pretty fast. So that's where, again, we're going to be adding both of those in with campaigns and automations. Those combination of both is going to warm your audience really well, but also going to help you start to, again, generate revenue. Thinking about if this were a person, everybody wants to have a side hustle for passive income. Your automations, think about those as your side hustle, where those are just passive income coming in, and driving revenue on a consistent basis. The more automations you add, the more passive income you may have. Like you may buy a few investment properties, and those are, again, revenue you have coming in. They take some maintenance, but hopefully not a ton. And then your campaigns are what you're, again, earning for a salary. So both of those are going to be working for you really strong and really helping you to drive long-term growth. The next category, I'm going to make this one green, is the evolving stage. This is where a business probably has, typically the groups we see typically have campaigns going. They have some strategy for getting campaigns up and running. They may not be as consistent with those campaigns. They may be really heavily leaning on promotional campaigns, but they have some type of campaign going. They probably don't have to go through that warming process at that point. And then they may have one or two like low-level automations that are probably a little bit sub-optimized, but they have them going anyways. So with this group, they may not have that same steep growth trajectory, but we're going to be complementing and supplementing what we already have. So ideally from there, we're going to be, again, getting that, like that 1 month process is going to, again, they're already going to have some level of revenue to work off of. And that 1 month process, we're probably going to be working primarily on those low hanging fruit automations during that time to really get those automations really strong and solidified to make sure that we can drive the revenue we want them to see. We want those automations to be generating between 10 and 15% of that total e-commerce revenue too. And that's generally like an easy low hanging fruit that can get introduced without a ton of heavy lifting. So again, probably getting those automations a little bit more optimized there. And then from there, getting into a campaign calendar and a cadence of introducing new automations on a frequent basis, and also making sure that campaign cadence is really streamlined and buttoned up. And then also making sure we can segment our campaigns in a way that's going to be really valuable. So we may not have been collecting as much data. We want to start to collect data around here through our, again, our popover windows or onboarding forms, or even in our like VIP sequences. Those are going to help us to, again, drive a little bit more consistent revenue from there, but we'll probably see that number going up and up and up as we make sure campaigns are solidified and make sure they're stable. So that first month is going to be important, but within 3 months, we should start to see a pretty good return on anything because, again, we're just tightening those up and basically introducing automations where that's just a shift outwards in terms of basically shifting the revenue possibilities up right out of the gate that just give us a strong shift. And then we're going to be able to start to chip away at making those campaigns more consistent. And then over time, we're introducing new automations, which shift that revenue up every time we introduce a new one. So again, like I mentioned, those are those passive income streams. So again, you're buying one house, you're buying another house, you're buying another house, and you're renting all those out. It adds up over time. So that's how to think about those automations in a little bit more strategic way. And then the last category we get to is advanced. So this is if you probably are running some type of automations and some type of campaigns. This is where, again, you obviously have some established credibility in terms of email. This is where we see a lot of groups having a lot of really established, but probably spending a lot of time in the promotional category. They spend a lot of time in email promotions. They do automations, but they haven't had a chance to really get out of that promo trap where they're going to be making money, yes, but they may not be as profitable in the long run. So we want to find ways that we can start to adjust that and change things so we can make that a little bit more profitable. So where we probably do have some optimizing we can do with their automations in the first month or two, they're starting off probably at a higher level, but we probably have some, again, optimizing we can do. Most people are a little bit less aggressive than we think they could be in terms of like how many emails you can put in a sequence, because everybody's a little bit worried about like blowing people up. If your campaign emails, if you're sending too many campaign emails, those can frustrate people. They can. A automation that's super contextual based on what their behavior is not going to be as frustrating because it's super customized, super tailored, and super relevant for them. So you can get away with more emails through automations. You're just going to want to make sure that those are really valuable and informative, and also do a few different things. So this is where we're looking at incorporating content into our automations and content into our campaigns to give us a different value proposition than just promotions. So we're actually going to, like, again, try and get off that promo bandwagon a little bit, but we still want to have an excuse for people to send. So we're going to be leaning on content a little bit more and testing and experimenting with our segments to see what performs best for those, and then working to increase and improve those. But in this, we're going to have that same probably trajectory. It may not be as steep as some of those like evolving businesses, but during the course of this time, we're going to take the revenue that we're making from this and our retention audience, and we're probably going to be taking this audience and ideally increasing the lifetime value quite a bit. We're probably going to have a lot more profitability in our audience there too, because we're not sacrificing so much through discounting. We can actually make up quite a bit more money. So our bottom line revenue is going to go up in terms of profitability, but our top line revenue may not look like extremely large, because we're suddenly, again, saving 15 to 20% on those margins. Doesn't that feel a little bit better? So that's where we can really start to do a lot better work. This time, this is the optimization process here takes a little bit more time, but within 2 to 3 months, we're probably getting better insights from our segments. We can capture a little bit more data. We've been able to test forms. We can know what's going to drive action from one form versus the other. And then we can also start to work to incorporate SMS faster too. So SMS may be incorporated like 4 months in for evolving, but we can start to incorporate SMS probably 2 or 3 months in for established brands, because they have that, again, credibility and trust. We're going to work to get existing engaged subscribers over to that SMS list, where that suddenly can make their wrist vibrate when they work hand in hand. SMS is going to make their wrist vibrate, going to be an immediate action. Long-term email is going to be a little bit more of a slow burn, where we can use those both in conjunction to drive action, especially from VIPs or consistently engaged. Those are audiences where things work out well. So for those three groups, again, the new, evolving, and advanced, that first month, we're probably going to be able to see some easy wins, especially from the automation side, but also over time, we're going to be able to drive more and more through campaigns. The new and evolving are obviously going to have the most steep growth trajectory, but within 3 months, we should be seeing really strong gains for all of those. And then, like I said, for automations, those just keep adding up over time. And as we're adding new automations and improving on what we're already doing, this just gives us more and more runway to make that passive income we want, and then continue to evolve the way we're engaging our audience through campaigns. If we can build more content or reuse content that's already been created for like SEO, that's another easy win, and that's another easy factor that helps us to improve our performance. But for those new businesses too, making sure they go through the warming process and make sure they get really diligent about that is also really going to help make sure that they're going to be successful and not hitting the spam folder. The other factors we think of are, again, promo strategy. How do we, again, kind of ease off that heavy hand of promotion all the time? And then also long-term mindset. Understanding, yes, this is a long-term mindset and we want to be thinking strategically, but how do we have that really strong strategic long-term mindset? If we are going to adjust a promo strategy, how do we inject a few different sales peaks into the year as opposed to consistent product promotions all the time? So do we want to have, again, a promotion once every 6 to 8 weeks that's bigger than we would every other week, that we can suddenly, again, drive a lot more volume? If we want to capture that volume, let's do it there. But again, it's a long-term mindset. So we're not just really thinking about like the short-term gains and short-term profits. We can think about the long-term strategy, so we're not sacrificing and training our audience to expect, again, discount. The other factors, content is going to really play a large role and help us to expedite that process without, again, sacrificing margin. We're giving ourselves an excuse to reach out to our audience the better insights we have into that audience are also really going to help us understand what they're going to find valuable and what they're going to engage with. Also, the promo strategy and long-term mindset. So those are a few other variables that aren't necessarily directly impacting things, but those always factor in and help us understand what's going to work, what's not, and then how do we start to kind of like incrementally improve. So 1 month, we're going to be able to make gains. 3 months, we're probably going to be able to make like really solid, strong gains. And then over time, it's off to the races where we can continue to improve that process and understand what outcomes we want to create and then how we want to bring them to life. So hopefully this was helpful. I know we go a lot into like revenue for email marketing. And again, like we said, we want to get anybody to that range of 30 to 45%. And if we can get there, that's a really solid place to be. And especially if we can incorporate SMS in our kind of like email marketing ecosystem, those are going to be areas where we can really start to thrive and really start to rock and roll. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully, again, you got some good insights from it. If you have more questions, let us know. Kind of enjoy talking about this stuff. So like I said, my name is Robbie Fitzwater. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.